What's up, guys? We're here at AMC Town Square with Chasing Cinema.
Mr. James Show.com,
and I can't believe it, but there goes another year, my brother.
Yes, and I want to wish you a happy 2018, a happy New Year's. Today is January 1st. We're starting early, back here at AMC already. We took a nice little week off, you know, for Christmas and everything, but we're back with the vengeance to list our top 10 films of all time. Now, before we hop into it.
Not of all time, of all.
That's true, of this year, of 2017.
Not even this year.
I know, man. I'm just so excited because
I don't blame you.
As much as we talk about movies and as much as me and this guy talk every single day, I don't know what his top 10 is, so I'm really interested to see what it is and how they're listed. But every year we start off asking the same question: how do you think the year as a whole went as far as movies?
I thought it was really good. I think 2 years ago when we did this, I also have this rule where if I don't actually have a top 10, I won't even make it a top 10.
Yes.
You know, I need to like love all these movies. Yeah, I need to love that, all of them, and then I'll rank the ones I loved.
Yeah.
So then I think I had like 7 2 years ago, and then 8 last year. This year I actually have a top 10.
Which I'm shocked.
When I went through all the posters, which is how every time I watch a movie, I add a poster to my notes, just so I don't even know why, I just do it just to do it.
Even though you could have Letterboxd, which I told you should get.
Yeah, the app.
Too, but
and I'll never do that. I had it, then I deleted it.
Yes.
But yeah, I was going through my movie posters, and then when I went through all the movies that I really, really enjoyed or loved or whatever, I had 15.
Wow.
So I kicked out 5. And it was a hard 5. It was.
I think I could.
Actually, it wasn't even hard. Actually, it was just like, yeah, you're right.
I think I have like maybe 1 or 2 movies that could have easily been, depending on my mood, could have swapped out for 10. So I think that's pretty interesting. Overall, I think the year started really strong. I mean, like, you know, the first 3 months, which are usually dump months, came off really, really strong. So if you're thinking about skipping out on the first 3 months this year, 2018, not seeing a movie with us, I strongly advise against that.
Don't miss Black Panther.
I thought summer was kind of a sleeper though this year. Like, there wasn't much in the summer that really blew me away. And then the end of the year I thought ended kind of strong. But yeah, I mean, I think there were a few movies that could have taken the top 10 spot for me, but overall I thought it was a good year. Last year I felt my list and all my stuff was very much different, where this movie I feel is a little bit more conformed and more uniform, but I'm still interested to see where we line up. We also usually talk about how many we think we'll have shared on the list. Just looking over, we only had 1 last year, it looks like. And we're thinking what, about 2 this year?
2, I think. I think I can, out of my top 10.
I would say 2 for sure.
I can see 2.
3 maybe, but I'm interested. So let's hop right into it.
Number 10 of 2017. Drum roll, please. I'm gonna have to give it up to Margot Robbie in I, Tonya.
Oh wow.
When I watched this movie,
yes.
One, the problem with me is I'm already a huge fan of Margot Robbie.
Yes.
And when I'm a huge fan of an actor or an actress, they really a lot of times can't do anything wrong, which is why they hire actors.
Yes.
You know, because they once you like them, you hopefully will watch their other movies, and then even if it's not that great, you still like it. But I felt I, Tonya was awesome. Yes. You know, I, Tonya, when I watched it, I didn't know so much of this case when it first happened about the ice skating and all that good stuff. I was a wee little man. I probably still am that. But when I watched it, all I heard was, and all I remember was Tonya Harding, her Nancy Kerrigan, and that's not even what happened at all. But I think, and then it's funny, interesting, because in the movie they even talk about that, how the media got it wrong. Yes. And I'm not saying the media got it wrong, I'm just saying that, but all I heard was Tonya Harding hit
the one that
Nancy
physically
Kerrigan,
did it, and they
that wasn't the way it was. But yeah, that movie for me, it was just overall very entertaining. I think when we go through my top 10, all of them, you're gonna hear me say that. It's just, for me, it was just entertaining. You know?
Yes. I'm
not saying that these are gonna award winnings. I'm not saying that these are best anything, other than I enjoyed them. I had fun the entire time in I, Tonya. I wasn't bored at all.
Yes.
I love the going back and forth because they're filming the interview, and then it goes to those scenes. I think Margot Robbie is an awesome actress, and she's absolutely stunning when she's on camera. And in this movie, they didn't make her glam up or anything because she's playing a different person in the 90s, so that was already. It wasn't about her beauty and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
It was more about her acting, and I enjoyed it. I loved it, and she learned how to skate. She did that for X amount of months, and those scenes looked awesome. Overall, I, Tonya, number 10 movie I think everyone needs to watch. It's a lot of fun. Allison Janney, the mother, did an awesome job. Overall,
she was phenomenal. I really, really liked her character playing Tonya's mom. I think even so much so when she's in the first 30 minutes strong, when she's actually no longer in the movie, I feel the energy kind of drops a little bit, which I found to be really shocking. Also, Bucky, the Winter Soldier.
The Winter Soldier.
Also playing Tanya Harding's husband. Also did very, very good. I mean, I think the movie was funny and entertaining, and I thought it also kind of addressed the character, giving her more of a complexity rather than just being the girl who did this one action.
And I'm a fan of the little girl that's in Gifted with Chris Evans, Captain America.
Yeah, she was a very good young
Tanya Harding. I thought she was awesome too. So if you haven't seen I, Tonya, watch I, Tonya.
Yeah, it's
awesome
not out here in Vegas yet. I believe it'll be here in the first couple weeks of January. So make sure to come check out that movie because we both highly recommend it. Though it did not make my top 10, I will say it is one of the ones that could have almost taken the 10th spot. It was right up there up until the last couple months when I swapped some things out. But I was really impressed with that movie. Margot Robbie, someone who's been around a lot, you know, as of late. I think this was the first movie that she made an impression on me that I will always look back on. And though you say you're not for the awards and not doing it for the awards, or you know, you just pick what you love, that is a movie that I would be shocked not to see get any awards.
Something.
Yeah. So, my number 10
dun, dun, dun.
was a movie that for a while, just for a little bit, was the best rated film on Rotten Tomatoes, and that was Greta Gerwig's Lady Bird.
I wanted to watch this.
This was a movie that I was so shocked walking into, not so much that I was gonna like it, but how much I did love it. Greta Gerwig, an actress who I've loved, she comes from a lot of Noah Baumbach films, having her directorial debut, feature-length directorial debut, doing this movie that, like I said, got so much praise that it was, for a while, well, not a while, but for a short period of time, the best rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes. And I think the real beauty, the real thing that pushes this movie over the top for me was Laurie Metcalf's performance. Laurie Metcalf from Roseanne, you know, is what everyone kind of knew her as Aunt Jackie. Here in this movie plays a mom in a movie where it's just kind of this great coming of age story. One of the better coming of age stories, I think, in years. Really about this mom trying to understand her daughter and vice versa. Easily, if I was in control of the Oscars and I could hand a statue, I would hand it to Laurie Metcalf. No ands, ifs, or but about it. She is so good in this movie and breathes this such a broad character. I mean, she paints all of these things that moms don't typically portray in film. You know, you always want the moms to be very supportive characters, and this mom critiques her daughter a lot and questions her daughter a lot, and these two just have such completely different dynamics. But when Laurie Metcalf and Saoirse Ronan, the actress who I also think would probably, I would assume right now, get a nomination for Best Actress. She wouldn't win for me, but I think she deserves a nom. We're gonna go head to head, and when they're on camera and they're sharing a scene, they're both just vying for not so much to chew up the camera, but they're just so strong on camera together. It's an explosive thing to see. So. Let's see, is there anything else that I really want to address? I mean, the writing is strong in this movie, while the direction of it isn't anything too spectacular or anything to, you know, I wouldn't give Greta Gerwig Best Director, but I think she deserves like one of the best breakout of the year. I mean, she is someone, if this is as strong as she comes out for her first movie, I am super excited to see what else she brings. A phenomenal movie, funny, heartfelt, emotionally rich, good time.
And typically, after your first, you only get better and better and better.
Exactly. But you know, there is always that kind of curse where you never make a movie as good as your first. Orson Welles with Citizen Kane. Some would say Sylvester Stallone with Rocky, so on and so forth. Number 9.
Number 9 for me, I think a lot of people are gonna be shocked. Jumanji.
Wow! Welcome to the jungle.
So I know I've said this already, and I said this in our original trailer review when we did this.
Yes.
But freaking A, man! I'd never seen the Robin Williams one, so I had no excitement about this movie. And I've had many times where I could have watched it. I don't know. It just didn't seem interesting to me. The board game.
Yes.
Cool animals. That's nothing wrong with that. Just wasn't.
Well, it's more than just
when I was younger.
But okay.
And then, so they announced this one. I said, nah. Saw the first trailer, I said, nah, you know, video game, that's kind of dumb, to be honest with you. I was like, eh, I get it, they want to like...
Living off the hype of Central Intelligence, yeah.
Chris Rock, not Chris Rock, Chris Hart.
Yeah, Kevin Hart, and
Kevin
Dwayne
Hart
Johnson.
And Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And so I watched this movie, not even wanting to, I was just watching to watch it.
Yes.
Holy crap.
Wow.
2 hours of me just sitting there in just awesome, just entertainment, sitting there laughing, chuckling, just like I'm all in, dog.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that movie so much. which is awesome for me. And it goes from everywhere. Central Intelligence for me was fine.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything
Meh.
like, nah, you know?
If anything, you pulled out their relationship, their chemistry, that'll work again in another movie. The movie was overcomplicated.
Even the relationship, they obviously got along, but I didn't think anything of it, to be honest with you. But in this movie, oh, I thought it was so good, and they all played up their roles of what they were supposed to be.
Yes.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson being weak,
Yes.
you know, and having to have self-confidence and be this powerful leader.
Yes.
And then Karen Gillan. I didn't remember Karen Gillan's name at the time, and I didn't realize she was Nebula.
Yeah.
You know, so when I was after I realized that, I was just like, oh, that's awesome, because I liked her character too.
Yes.
And then Kevin Hart was so freaking funny. It was just so funny, so entertaining. The jokes, they landed for me. The music fighting or whatever it was called.
Oh, dance fighting.
Dance fighting, thank you. That worked for me.
Yes.
The story worked for me. And then yeah, I just enjoyed it. And then they had so many nods, and I know me and you talked about this, but it's like, is this the first movie that's not even a video game, but actually got video games right?
Yeah,
because they had so many little video game nuances and video game things, tropes, if you will, where if you watch or if you play video games, you're gonna be like,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's funny.
Especially old school video games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, yeah, for me it was so good, and it's doing amazing at the theater right now.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling any week now they're gonna announce, oh, by the way, we're gonna come out with part 2,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna be all in because I loved it. Number 9.
Jack Black.
Oh my gosh, what am I doing? The person who stole the movie.
Yes. I knew.
The guy who stole the movie that made the movie so enjoyable was Jack freaking Black. He was so funny playing the little girl. And oh yeah, so I watched it the first time, and then I told my girlfriend how wonderful this movie was, Ashley. And then I took Ashley. I enjoyed it, if not more, the second time. Just to sit. That's why it's on top 10, dog. I'm just like sitting there, just watching it, and just loving every single freaking minute of Jumanji.
No, I agreed. I enjoy with you. I think, yeah, and like with the amount of talent that's in the movie, I was shocked that I love Jack Black more than anything else. But yeah, I gotta agree. It was an entertaining time. I didn't love it as much as you, but maybe I need to rewatch it a few more times.
I watched it twice and I loved it again.
That's great. It's always good when you get those little surprises, you know? Because you were kind of like, we were both like, nah, you know, like whatever. Like I get what it's doing. It needs to get these guys together. But yeah, I was definitely surprised on how much I liked that movie. My number 9. A movie that the Las Vegas Film Critics Society labeled the best picture of the year, and a movie that has gotten a lot of love around critics, and that is 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
I need to see this.
As I said before, my best supporting actress, which would go to Laurie Metcalf, would happen in Lady Bird. Right now, even though I think it is really up in the air, my Oscar would go to Frances McDormand here in 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. This movie, I think, is just a brilliant way to kind of flip dramas on their noses, because you're expecting to go into this movie, you're expecting this really heavy-handed thriller. You know, the trailer puts it off like this woman is going up against the police, and it's this constant back and forth, which it is, but it's so much more than that. And unlike movies where characters are one way for so long, and then they just kind of flip towards the end, this movie has characters flipping throughout so much that I think it might actually turn some people off. You know, I think people aren't used to seeing characters be so double-sided. They're, you know, that's the bad guy in the movie, this is the good guy. They're going to do bad guy things, this person's going to do good guy things. And that's not the case in this movie. Characters are far more complex, but over-exaggerated, I think, to prove the point that everyone has some good and bad in them, and that there's always going to be that debate in people as individuals. Frances McDormand was absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, someone that's going to get a lot of love for this movie as well, Sam Rockwell, who plays a phenomenal supporting actor. I wouldn't give him that award, but I easily see people giving him that, so I'm sure he'll be nominated. He does do a really, really good job. He takes on a character that you obviously hate, but sometimes in the film he's just downright funny, and sometimes he's, you know, kind of comes around and you see this hope of humanity in him, and I think it's a really great and tough character to play. What other was my notes here?
Woody Harrelson?
Woody Harrelson, yes, is very good in the movie. I also think the screenplay is very strong. You know, we said this in our War of the Planet of the Apes review. I was going back and watching a lot of our reviews to prep for this, and we say that, you know, even though with all the beautiful CGI, even all the beautiful effects, it always comes back to story. And though there is no CGI here and there's no special effects, this movie with so many strong characters still comes back to the simple story. And I think the screenplay is super, super strong. Woody Harrelson is good. You know, he is one of those actors that people say play Woody Harrelson. You know, he plays his role. I think it's very different here. And I think one of the most interesting things about this movie is the relationship between Frances McDormand's character and Woody Harrelson's character. You know, when you start to see this movie, which is about 3 billboards that are calling out the sheriff of police, you think these two are going to be on opposite ends, and they actually have such really strong, beautiful moments together, and it's really shocking if you don't know how the movie's going. But the moments of humanity that they share are really touching. I loved it. I think it's a great movie that kind of turns the ways we see films and characters, and it's just a well-written, strong script led by Frances McDormand, a phenomenal actress, and I hope she gets her day come February.
Love it. I still gotta watch that one.
Yep.
Is it coming to Vegas?
It should be. It should be. I think it did come to Vegas, but only played in a limited theaters.
Yeah, that's right. Do you think it's gonna do wide?
I'm sure. Come Oscar time, we'll see this movie again.
Cool. That's why I need to watch it. All right, number 8.
Yes.
I can't believe it, bro, because I had Jumanji as my first comedy, and if you look at my last 2 years, ever since we've been doing this, 3 years, I guess, I don't have comedies, because just comedies for me, as of recent, just have never or haven't hit for me, where I would have it in the top 10 anyway.
Unless it's like a kid movie, right?
And
like
then I don't even,
like that.
then I more like consider the animation. But yeah, it is comedy though, but straight up comedy, live action straight up comedy. Number 8.
Jumanji.
Girls Trip. Yeah, Girls Trip.
Yeah,
Girls Trip.
Wow.
Girls Trip, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Girls Trip. That movie.
Queen Latifah, Jada Pinkett Smith, Tiffany Haddish.
Yes. So I'm at I was doing my normal work, whatever, and then I would come to movies.
Yes.
When I just feel like I'm just too tired and I don't want to go home. And so the movie looked funny in theaters. I mean, in trailers. But that was the extent of what I thought it was, to be honest with you. And then I went to the theater, but I got lucky because my theater was full. It was a full packed theater, and let's just say that theater was one of the funnest times I've ever had in a theater. It was like a premiere night for like a Star Wars movie where everyone's yelling and cheering.
Yep.
It was like that. And that movie honestly was so freaking entertaining. I was laughing the whole time. There's certain parts I was just clapping. I was literally clapping because it was
so funny.
Tiffany Haddish, I really hope she gets a...
And she's been getting some love. I don't know what specifically, but there's been a few critic circles around the globe that, around the country, that is nominating her for Best Supporting Actress.
I really hope she gets it because she made that movie so... She was Jack Black of Jumanji.
Yes.
Tiffany Haddish was whatever her character's name. I don't remember the character's names. It was so long ago, but and I haven't been able to revisit the movie. But that movie, honestly, I had so much fun with Girls Trip and all the things that they introduced and that style of comedy. It wasn't just like dick jokes, or it wasn't just that. It wasn't that. Yeah. Even though they have those.
And the perfect opposite of that is Rough Night, which felt so fake. None of the characters felt like they had this relationship. Yeah.
Yes.
Like these group of friends. Girls Trip, it feels so real, and it feels like they've been friends for a long time. Rough Night doesn't feel that way. It feels like they're all thrown together. They're just supposed to be these real typical characters, and Girls Trip wasn't like that.
Yep.
Anything else on As in Girls Trip? No.
Off the top of my head, no. I think if you want to just enjoy yourself and laugh, you need to see Jumanji and you need to see Girls Trip. That movie is just outrageous.
And Girls Trip's out on DVD, so you can watch it at home. Actually, our last week of movies was 2 weeks ago. We did The Greatest Showman. I went home and Netflix sent me Girls Trip, and I had not seen it all year. And I got to see it right after Showman, and I watched it, and I also died laughing. I was completely alone in my room.
And I had been like telling you it's so funny. It's so funny.
And I had been completely in my room, and I laughed out loud many times. I think the movie's high energy, and while we're seeing a lot of these full cast female comedies coming out, which I'm happy they're coming out. Some of them are good, some of them aren't always working. Not the fact that it falls on the fact they're female, but that's obviously something they're targeting to doing. I don't think one has been as good as Bridesmaids since Bridesmaids, which kind of really bumped up this revolution. Girls Trip is easily the best since Bridesmaids, and I'm so shocked because I had expectations in all different movies this year and comedies, and that was one where it was so funny because the reason I didn't see it was screened the same night as Valerian, all the critics went to see Valerian. Maybe one or two went and saw Girls Trip, and everyone raved about Girls Trip all the way to the end of the year, where no one talked about Valerian much after the movie came out. So I enjoyed it too. Not on my list, but a great pick again. You're killing it. My number 8, a comedy, but as Shu pointed out, more likely an animated film. My favorite animated movie of the year, which didn't come from Disney or Pixar. It came from the Lego series, which is now real bumping out there, the Lego Batman movie. I was so shocked. I think this movie played in February. Yes. I walked out of that movie and saying, there's no way this movie doesn't make it on my list. It was much lower in the beginning of the year, but now it is up there, but still I think a rightful owner. And yes, people are gonna say, you know, Lady Bird, 3 Billboards, and then Lego Batman? Yes, because the Lego Batman meant so much to me, and I found so much enjoyment out of it. It's such a rich movie. Yes, on the most basic level, it is a kid's movie where Batman is playing this really snarky character. Yes, it is Legos, but no, there is so much more to this, and especially being a Batman fan, it is so filled with culture and references that you could go into this movie 3-4 times, which I have, and still catch new things. And what's so funny is so many people get different experiences out of it, but people who really follow the character of Batman are just going to be littered with things. Yeah. I've said it to pretty much anyone who's seen this movie. It goes as small as to give a line or two to the actor Billy D. Williams, also known as Lando Calrissian from Star Wars. He plays Harvey Dent in the Lego Batman movie because he also played Harvey Dent in Tim Burton's 1989 Batman. He was eventually recast, obviously Tom Lee Jones, in that series, but just such a small little nod. And the moment you hear his voice, some people didn't catch it, but I heard it and I just laughed because it was they just tried so hard to incorporate all these things. Not to mention incorporate a ton of other things as well. You had Voldemort, you had King Kong, you had all these different characters that end up coming out on screen, and it's just such a blast. I also think it was one of the few movies, well, I shouldn't say movies, but one of the few times I think I've seen the Joker-Batman relationship done so beautifully. Obviously, it's not the normal way we see it, where these two characters are saying they need each other, which is the case, but obviously this one's way more emotional and soft and trying to be jokey. But I think it explored this relationship of these two characters who need each other to kind of go on and explore it in a very beautiful way. I just mean it's a blast of energy. The first 10 minutes I think are the strongest. I don't think the movie ever gets to that point of energy again, but it is so high and so strong that I laughed and cried just of tears of laughter the entire time. I mean, such a fun movie, beautifully animated.
The first time I saw the movie was with you and Mr. Wong.
Yes.
And I loved it.
Yes.
And in my head I was thinking, I think you really have to be a Batman fan though. But that's why they made it though, because there's that many Batman fans. Absolutely. Where you can justify a movie on a single character as an animated form that it'll get all ages to come.
Yes.
And I enjoyed it. I saw it the second time. My friend Aaron, as you know, yes. We did our fried chicken run and barbecue run. Anyway.
Yes.
He went to Japan. So I was watching his kids, and so his kids, I was like, oh, you guys want to watch a movie? They're like, yeah. I was like, okay, let's go see Lego Batman. And then here I am, and I turn around at them, one of them sleeping.
Oh,
the girl's sleeping, and then his son didn't really look too much into it. And I'm like the 35-year-old, and because I went on, this was on let's say a Saturday or something.
Yeah. So you were
and it was not only a Saturday, it was like a Saturday around 2.
Okay.
Prime time for the kids to come. So and I'm like looking left and right, and literally on the only one laughing because of there's other people laughing, but I'm laughing because I understand the joke.
Absolutely.
And so I felt really old at that moment, but great movie.
Yeah, and absolutely, and I mean, just like there's a ton of visual comedy. Like you don't have to. I mean, there are so many references in this movie. It's not even all Batman related. Like there's a scene in the movie where all the characters from Batman do the Charlie Brown dance, so like of course all the adults are gonna laugh because they grew up watching Charlie Brown. But I mean, even the lines, the comedy from the script in this movie is so strong. There's such witty dialogue in this movie. It was hard for me not to love, and obviously so much so putting it in front of two movies where are probably going to get Oscar nominations, if not win Oscars. I think this movie unfortunately will not get Best Animated Feature this year, which is a damn shame because it is one of the most
for Coco.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most fresh and original and fun movies I've seen all year.
Originally, you definitely can't. You know what's kind of sad too about the Lego franchise is the first one is a killer.
Yes.
And then Batman did a little under that one, and then Ninjago went under again. So For people who love these Lego movies, one, that's why you have to support film.
Yep.
If you like these movies, you have to watch them.
You gotta go see them.
And then unfortunately, it's a downward trajectory right now. So I don't know if we're gonna get. And they haven't even announced.
Hopefully, Lego Batman does really, really strong.
Ancillary market, DVDs,
and at home and stuff like
download,
that.
Yeah.
I obviously did my part and bought it the day it came out because I loved it so much. And I've watched it many times since. I absolutely love that movie. Number 7.
Let's talk about number 7 for me. A movie I know for a fact will not be in your top 10, but I don't care. The Mountain Between Us. Idris Elba,
wow.
Kate Winslet. Dude, I saw this movie, and I'm not embarrassed to admit it, 3 times.
Did you really? I didn't even know that.
I was embarrassed, baby.
Oh, maybe you were keeping it all to yourself.
Yeah, I was so selfish of this movie that I had to watch this in the theater 3 times, dog.
Wow.
So I'm sitting there.
You love your love movies.
No, and then you can see it. Yeah, so this is the beginning of the love movies.
Okay.
Right? It seriously is. Yeah, this movie, man, this blew me away. I loved it so much. One, again, and we mentioned this earlier at number 10 or whatever, the nostalgia factor and why they hire certain actors. When Kate Winslet's in a movie, I'm already gonna watch it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm gonna like it.
Titanic.
My favorite movie of all time. So Kate Winslet's already in it. I think she's just stunning, amazing actress.
She is.
Beautiful.
No arguments here.
Love it all. Idris Elba, to me, is just like this, like, if I had to be, if somehow I turned into him, I wouldn't be mad.
No.
Like, this guy.
He'd be like, one of my first picks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, he's good looking, you know, works out, looks good, he's charismatic, freaking handsome as hell. It's just like, this guy is just like, okay, I want to be.
Yeah.
And then there's rumors that well, you know, it's over now, but at the time they were saying, oh, maybe him as James Bond. I was the one, my flag was like, oh, okay, yes. So when you have these two in a movie, yay. And when I watched it, dog, I seriously loved this movie. I just loved it. And this movie is like Castaway, but instead of a beach, you're on a mountain, you know. And that's one of my favorite movies of all time too, Castaway. So this one, I knew once I saw it, the premise of it, I loved it. And then when I watched it, I was like, yes, I love this movie. Second time I watched it was with my girlfriend. I was with Ashley. She's like, that's so. It was
added
so
some
good.
Part to it.
Yeah, she's like, it's so good, so good. And then I was after work another week later. I had nothing to do. Come back to AMC Town Square, watch it again. I freaking loved The Mountain Between Us. And I know for me, when I love a movie, anything after the second time is nuts. Like, to me, that's good. Like, one time you have to. Second time, that doesn't mean you even liked it. It could just be like it was entertaining enough. Like Jumanji, I've seen twice, right?
Yeah. Wow.
But Mountain Between Us, when I watched it for the 3rd time, I said...
In theaters.
In theaters.
That gets credit. Because I saw Lego Batman once in theaters, but I saw it a lot at home. That's a different thing.
I love The Mountain Between Us, the acting, the story, and plus I'm in love with the dog.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you forgot about the best character.
You have Idris Elba, you have Kate Winslet, and then you throw in a dog that's supposed to go on this journey with me? Are you kidding me? Of course I'm gonna like this movie.
Wow. I honestly had not thought about this movie. I was reading this list, like who had the best, worst years, and they were saying Idris Elba didn't have a very good year, the failure of Dark Tower, and then this movie doing very not well. But obviously he had his role in Thor Ragnarok, which is a great honorable mention, because I love me some Thor Ragnarok. But this movie really didn't do anything for me. You're on your own on this one. But it is a shoe movie, I would say that.
Yeah.
But I honestly just hadn't thought about it.
A Dog's Purpose didn't make my list, though. I was going through my list, I was like, let it down.
Yeah, that'd be rough. For what I think is our first matchup, but you don't have to answer me yet, a movie that hit me out of nowhere. Well, I shouldn't say nowhere. I mean, I knew I was going to see it, and I had a lot of expectations going in, but I mean, from what I expected to leave the theater and how I did were completely unreal. My number 7 is probably the movie that I've been hyped about the most as of late and been singing non-stop, because my number 7 is The Greatest Showman.
Amazing movie.
I walked in this movie expecting something solid, and I got something that has really embarked itself on me. I've seen it twice in theaters.
You bastard.
We'll probably see it again in theaters because my girlfriend is such a huge fan. I saw it on my anniversary, so I had like all this emotional connection to it now. And honestly, a soundtrack that I've listened to all the way through numerous times. And I've never been like a guy who sits and listens to albums all the way through. I mean, I have, but never like that much.
Pick your things.
Yeah. And you know, like even Les Mis, which I was a huge fan of, There's a few songs that I skip over. There's just a few that I can't get behind. Every single song I loved and danced to, and there's different emotions. I mean, there are 3 or 4 songs that give me goosebumps the 100th time I've heard it. And you know, I walked in this movie the first time, walked out saying, you know what, I loved it. It was so much fun. It was entertaining, but it definitely lacks some depth. And I think that's still true, but the more I've seen it, the more I've seen more things from it, and I think you know, the whole idea of this movie, you know, while it's about P.T. Barnum, it's really not. It's really about more the experience he wanted to create and the idea of going somewhere, being hoodwinked, but still having fun. It doesn't matter how people live, as long as you leave with a smile on your face, I think is the quote from the movie. And I leave with a smile on my face both times I saw that movie. With my girlfriend Samantha, without her, and just listening to the soundtrack. It just could get me in such a great mood. But the circus having this idea of like you go in, you get hoodwinked, there's some things that's not really true, all really kind of comes through in this movie, right? Like there are some things, well, obviously the CGI is not great, but you're just getting hoodwinked, but you're buying it, you're having fun, right? You're chewing the peanuts that the circus gives us, and I think it all really kind of communicates really well. It almost has this dreamlike fantasy element to it, being a musical, and every song just being really, you know, and I think back to La La Land, your number 1 of 2016, not even on my list because I wasn't crazy about, to see this movie.
And they finished these songs before they even did La La Land.
And of course there is more realism in La La Land, and there's more an emotional connection between Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone in La La Land. This movie to me just brought me so much joy, and it made me an 8-year-old kid watching the circus. It brought me wonder and joy, and I mean the charismatic showman himself, Hugh Jackman, belting out those songs. And I don't think there was one of the strongest moments I think I've seen in the cinema this year is Hugh Jackman watching Rebecca Ferguson sing Never Again. Never Enough. The look of awe and beauty is what I was just in watching her perform that song, though it's sang by someone else. It's just so beautiful, and there's so many touching things about this movie, but most of all, like she said, it was entertaining, and it made my heart full, you know? I mean, it's so funny because, of course, there's the crotchety old critic in the movie where critics are always stereotyped. No one ever defends us. But I walked in that movie and I just loved it, and I had so much fun. And you know, Mr. Josh Bell of Las Vegas Weekly, who is sometimes a guest on our show, you know, said that it was cotton candy, and I ate it by the spoonful, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
For your 3rd time.
3rd time. Oh, I would say this is a movie that I'll buy, and this is a movie that I'll continue to watch over and over again. Is it, you know, why is it not higher on my list? Because I think there is some more emotional things that happened to me this year that are a bit more profound. But if I need a movie to pick me up, if I pop a movie in, or if I'm listening to a soundtrack, chances are I'll be from The Greatest Showman.
Yeah, Ashley, she works full-time 5 days a week.
Yes.
So by the time I go to sleep around 2, 3 in the morning, she doesn't get home till 3:30, 4, 5, depending on what the day is. But 5 days out of the week, not embarrassed to say this, but probably out of the 5 days I'm by myself, I would say at least 2 of those, I'm playing La La Land in the background. This will be the next movie that'll be alternating because the music is so good. My personal favorite song that I cannot stop playing in my car,
yes.
And I'm not even exaggerating, and obviously you aren't either because you play it.
Yeah.
After it's over, I play it again, is The Other Side for me.
And it goes by so fast.
Yeah, it does.
The Other Side, one of the best choreographed dance sequences I've seen in forever. You know, I mean, it's just so, and Zac Efron, Zendaya, all these people in this movie are just so good and so heartfelt. I mean, it just really got a lot of heart, and you know, it emotionally touched me. Is there problems with CGI? Is there a problem with character? Sure, but at the end of the day, it touched me. I had fun. I loved it, and this will be a movie that I'll defend. And I don't think the 50% critic score was justified.
Yeah, it's horrible. The critic score is horrible, and I'm just like watching this movie. I'm just like, oh, y'all try, man. All right, number 6.
Yes.
Out of my top 10, another movie I know for a fact will not make it onto your top 10.
Okay.
Before I Fall.
Yeah,
now
before I've not seen it.
I was just gonna say it. Did you see? Okay.
No, I didn't.
So this movie came out, I want to say March.
Yes.
Or something like that. It was early as crap, and it had something that already was gonna get me. I think 2 years ago, one of my favorite movies, like number 2 favorite movie of the year, or something, was Edge of Tomorrow, or something like that. And I just loved the love story between
Rebecca Ferguson, or no,
Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise with the action of the Groundhog's Day of war. So when I saw this trailer, I was just like, Edge of Tomorrow, okay. High school teens, okay.
See, I don't even think I saw a trailer for this movie.
And so when well, you know me, I'm always, anyway. Nobody wanted to watch the movie, so I just went by myself. I'm in the theater. It was a fairly full theater, 200-300 people there, all teenagers. I'm the 35-year-old, literally in a suit, and you know, and I'm just watching it, and I fell in love with this movie. I have it. I play it on my iPad all the time. Thank you, Mr. Kent Wong, for that. And this movie is just basically Edge of Tomorrow for high schoolers. But for me as an entrepreneur, you know, I'm all about the story. The story was just so good, and at the end of the day, what I got from Before I Fall was we sometimes do things we don't understand that we're doing, and you gotta learn to change, because if you don't change, nothing's gonna change for yourself. And that's what Zoe goes through in this movie, is she needs to learn that she can't be this bully. She's basically a bully, and she can't be that way. And for me, it was just,
I gotta see this
movie. It was so freaking, you gotta come over to my place, I'll play it, I'll get us chicken wings.
Who's in the movie? Is there anyone really big in the movie or no?
No, not at all. It's just, honestly, just the most famous ones, Zoe, the daughter of the Back to the Future, who's played Jennifer in Back to the Future Part 2 and 3?
I can't think of the
very
name,
famous, very famous woman. Her daughter is Zoe, but it has a different last name, like
not Deschanel?
No, not Deschanel, but it's Zoe
something like that.
That I am so sorry. I think I follow her on Instagram. I think she's gorgeous. But
he'll look it up while I'm doing mine.
Beyond that, though, she's just. I just love this movie. You gotta watch this movie. It's
a shoe movie.
Yes, it is. It is a shoe movie. High school kids. Groundhog's Day
and motivation about changing your life.
You have to change. You have to change yourself.
Yeah.
You have to change yourself, because we do things when we're young, and young doesn't have to be an age. We do things when we don't realize we're doing it. We're bullying people. We're offensive to people. We don't realize we're doing it sometimes to fit in with the cool people, and we must change ourselves. And she had to learn that. And then when you see the ending, you're
bullying
just
like,
never good. You know, it's amazing.
I'm excited.
Before I Fall.
I gotta see it. My number 6.
I'm ready.
Or we're on 6?
Yes, you're 6.
My number 6. Another movie where I wasn't expecting to put it on my list, but I'm very happy that it's on there. And I'm sure this is the point of the video. If Before I Fall didn't get us any dislikes, I'm sure this is the point where we'll probably get some.
Leah Thompson.
No. Oh, Leah Thompson.
Sorry,
yeah.
I had to.
Because obviously there's a lot of, this movie is quite polarizing. It's quite controversial, you know, and it's one that no one would have expected that from, because my number 6 is Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Oh man, let me tell you, I don't want to get into the debate that's been surrounding it so much, you know, Mark Hamill's comments, all these things, because this was a movie that I felt hit every cornerstone of what I wanted out of this movie. And here's the thing, not every movie is going to be what you want, but that doesn't mean that it's not supposed to be that way. And I don't mean that to be in a mean way, but a lot of things I saw, which not all, I think there are some valid criticisms on this movie, but a lot of the issues I see are people are mad because the movie's not what they wanted it to be, and that's just not how movies go. And filmmaker Rian Johnson brought us Looper, and then brought us this movie, I think hit me on so many emotional levels that I found it to be one of my favorite Star Wars movies, equally neck and neck with Empire Strikes Back. And I've had a lot of conversations where people are shocked and dumbfounded and angry that I said that, and then there are the ones that agree with me. I'm not going to tell you your opinion's wrong, but to me, there was not a thing in this movie that I felt was completely off or offensive or like a disgrace to the Jedi franchise. I mean, there was so many touching things that happened in this movie. I will say, obviously, Mark Hamill guys, Mark Hamill's been around for a very, very long time, obviously. You know, taking roles in the early Star Wars movies, coming back and doing the voice of the Joker. One of his best performances in his career is in The Last Jedi. I mean, that says something. Carrie Fisher, who unfortunately lost, and I'm sure her passing made this much more emotional for me. Anytime she was on screen, I felt that emotion, but she has some really strong emotional movies. I think this movie's fun. I think there's depth to it that people are ignoring. It gives us a lot of surprises that really pays off for us as Star Wars fans. I mean, I won't get into spoilers, obviously, but there's so many little things that happen in this movie that are just so, so exciting. I'm cheering. One of the best fighting sequences I've seen all year happened in this movie along this beautiful red background that is just stunning. That had me slapping the chair next to me, screaming. I mean, I was jacked. And all that, I mean, all those emotions I go through in a movie, if I could go through more than one and I find them to be all valid and I went through them again the second time I watched it, I know they're real, and I know this movie's made me felt a bunch of things. The characters are fun, each character being on their own journey. Some people criticize that one of the journeys isn't necessary, Finn's journey, John Boyega, and I totally disagree with that. I think that there is real depth to it. I just don't think people were really looking in it deep enough. We had new characters that I loved equally as much as I loved old. And Kevin Smith said it best. And he was, you know, though he liked this movie, he definitely criticized it. But the moment, well, this isn't really a spoiler, but the moment we kind of get a reunion between Luke Skywalker and an old friend, and they play something that is kind of what started this all, is one of the most beautiful moments I think you'll see on screen all year. Just profoundly fun, profoundly entertaining, moving. I can't get enough of this movie, and I'm so happy and so excited to see where we go. I'm kind of bummed at the reaction, though. Obviously, the 50% on Rotten Tomatoes has been a little
Is that what it's at right now?
debunked. Well, not critically, audience. And that's been kind of debunked because you could do things multiple times, and you know, there's trolls around. Obviously, the cinema score was much higher. Cinema score was an A, correct? I believe
cinema
so.
Score is A, yes.
Yeah, and that's, you know, much more of a harder process. So I believe that more people like it.
Well, they actually verify and ask people after the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. There's punch cards on it. So, I mean, there's obviously a process, and I think more people liked it than it's getting credit for. But I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, go see this movie, because I think you don't even need, I mean, obviously the other Star Wars will help, but I think this is a movie that, one of the few Star Wars movies that truly stand on its own, is this really beautiful film.
I'm gonna offend people again.
Oh boy.
You know, because I've never seen.
Choose king of that.
I've still never seen 4, 5, 6.
Oh God, you dislikes
I'm
now?
never going to watch. I'm never going to watch 4, 5, 6. I just can't stand them. I actually am one of those weird people that enjoy 1, 2, 3. Loved Force Awakens. Loved Rogue One. And this movie again, man. Like, and I understand, like, if I would have just, because I'm sure there's people that when I tell them that one of my favorite, if not my favorite trilogy of all time is Back to the Future, some people are like, that old movie. So I get it. I get it. I can't watch 4, 5, 6.
He's an interesting character. That's why we keep him around.
Thank you. But Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Wow. I mean, come on, dude. There's nothing not to like about these movies. And I think you absolutely hit it right on the head on the nail, or nail on the head, whatever the phrase is. I think you really hit it right there. Exactly. It's like, it's because you want Rey to be this, or you want Luke Skywalker to be this, and it
wasn't the movie you wanted.
Yeah, just go into the movie and just enjoy what. On the financial side, someone put $200 million marketing, $300 million for you to watch this.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. There's a director who genuinely loves Star Wars. You know, Rian Johnson, or Rian. Yeah. Rian or Ryan?
I believe, I've heard, well, Kevin Smith called him Ryan, so I just kept that on. I thought it was Rian Johnson.
Okay.
But R. Johnson.
Yeah, R. Johnson. He loves the characters. Something interesting I saw, which we'll find out in 2 years if this is true, is so J.J. Abrams wanted to take this direction.
Yeah.
And then Rian Johnson said, "Oh, so this is what I think the Rey's parents are."
Yeah.
Which you'll find out if you watch the movie. This is what I think Snoke is. Which you'll find out what happens in The Last Jedi. And then so rumor has it in Episode 9, now that J.J. is back, he's like, oh no, actually this is actually what it is, and no, this is actually what it is.
Well, a lot of people, and I think that's fair criticism, a lot of people criticize the movie for, you know, kind of really, I won't say the words per se, but taking a crap on what JJ tried to do. And I don't think that's true, you know, and I feel this movie really did everything. I don't feel there was something of this movie that was not justifiable, right? Even if you don't like it, and I can understand that, I don't think there's anything that's like, oh, that just wouldn't happen. Like, I don't think that's and that's my I think that's what my, you know, because I kind of had this breakdown when this movie came out and all these things were happening. I tweeted about it for a minute, and I know this isn't a Star Wars talk, but this is the reason why this movie's so good, because there's so much conversation about it, and it's really sparking a good conversation. You know, I'm saying you can't judge a movie for what you want it to be. And granted, you know, we sit here as critics and I watch movies and I say what I think are flaws, but I think these are flaws that you could actually critique them for. This character, you know, doesn't feel honest, or this was shot some way. But just saying, oh, this movie didn't play out to my fantasies isn't a fair criticism. I love this movie.
Star Wars Last Jedi, good stuff. I can't wait for Han Solo, and then maybe I can fall in love with the character like everyone else has in 4, 5, 6.
Yes.
So now let's get into number 5.
Halfway there.
Number 5 is a movie that I had no idea, again, no excitement, but you're the one that told me to watch it and I had to. The Big Sick.
Yeah!
Okay, so I don't know what happened this year. Literally, comedies, I don't like comedies typically, just because they're always, I feel like they're, immature is not the right word because I'm about as immature as it gets too.
Yes.
You know, you've been on road trips with me.
Very immature.
So, yeah, that's not the right word, but there's something about comedies. I typically don't like just laugh. I'm just like sitting there.
I think like you said, there's been this very type of comedy that's very popular now and they don't really work for us.
Yes. And so you told me to watch Big Sick, which is a comedy, yet it's also a dramedy.
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
know. But The Big Sick is a movie that is sick. You need to watch The Big Sick. There's really not much I can say other than I was entertained the entire. There wasn't one moment that wasn't entertained. The 2 actors that I feel
Kumail
horrible.
Nanjiani.
Thank you. He's awesome.
And Zoe Kalayan, I believe.
Awesome. She's awesome.
Yeah.
And then Holly Hunter.
Yep.
Holly Hunter.
The
mom. The mom, right? Yeah, she was awesome. And the movie, and I think I enjoyed it even more knowing that, holy crap, this is a true story.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy about it, because when you watch this movie, I really enjoyed this movie too, and it's so true because I know in this movie it was about Indian culture, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Indian
Pakistani
culture. Excuse me I'm so sorry about that. In this movie, it was a Pakistani culture, but for me, all I saw was, oh, this could have been Korean culture, or for me, Chinese, Japanese, any
Indian.
nationality you want to name, you can fit in there, because we all have our little things where our culture or this culture is supposed to be this, and old school thinking doesn't want to change, and it's supposed to be this, and
the class of culture, something that has been going on for generations.
And it will continue.
Yeah.
And it will always continue and will not stop. And I thought this movie just whoosh, did it in such an entertaining way, and it's great to see that they're both successful people now in real life. And it's awesome. It's a really fun, entertaining movie. Number 5, man, Big Sick.
Yeah, and it's got a really great achievement. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but I'll think about it before the end of the video. I'll let you guys know. My number 5. Like, I guess, The Mountain Between Us, this will be one that I think she really disagrees with me on. My number 5 was a movie that I had no idea what it was about when I went in, and I loved it, and that is Colossal. Colossal, starring Anne Hathaway and Jason Sudeikis. This movie that I think, if you don't know what it's about, I recommend you stay not knowing, going in blind, and watch this movie, because it is one of the most wild, free-thinking, different movies that you could possibly step into. It is a very, very vicious, dark comedy. She would disagree with me, but I think it is filled with this idea of masculinity, and it tackles all these themes like alcoholism and, you know, substance abuse, and you know, just like the male ego. But I also think it is this weird movie at the same time when we have this character who's controlling a monster in Seoul, Korea, and I just think it really explores these themes in a very interesting way. It felt fresh, it felt new, tackling these really important things. Jason Sudeikis, a man that we've all come to know and love from comedies and SNL and We Are the Millers and Horrible Bosses, delivers this character which is so unlike him, in a character that you really just dislike, in this real slime bag. But as much as there is heavy, there is light comedy, there is these really interesting turns. Anne Hathaway is great in the movie. If I was to pick, I wouldn't give them nominations so much when it comes to Oscars, but if they were like things that everyone missed, these 2 performances would be probably on the top of my list, because these are the performances no one's really talking about, and I think they should be, because they are that good. It's just a wildly different movie, and it feels fresh, and it feels new. And I had, again, a movie that takes this idea of complexity and boils it down in a very interesting, different way. We saw me, you, and Mr. Josh Bell, Las Vegas Weekly. and Louis Vuitton, and we just all just kind of really took on this movie a little bit different. It is his, I believe it is Mr. Josh Bell of Las Vegas Weekly's #1 movie of the year.
No, it was not.
I believe so. And Mr. Shu, obviously you can see his opinion, but I really enjoyed this movie, and I really found it to be a movie that rewarded me, and I'm glad that I got to see it, and I'm hoping to revisit it again soon. It was really lower on my list, but obviously as the years gone on, it went up a little bit, but I think 5 is the perfect spot.
You know what's so interesting about movies too is that it's so subjective, because you literally loved this movie.
I did.
And I literally could not stand everything. You're even as you're talking right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying this for camera. Literally, as you're talking about the things you enjoyed,
yes,
I'm reminiscing about what parts you're talking about, and I cannot disagree with you anymore. I just cannot. There's like, if here's agree, like I'm like, it's so crazy about
I'll
movies.
put it in the white eye. You know, I'll try to throw up my favorite reviews of the movies that we're talking about. That'll be one for sure. You got to go watch our review, because Shu was very vocal in his disagreement in our review of Colossal. So go check that out.
And that's another thing that's fun too, is like I can so disagree with everything you're saying, and I'm not more right than you, and you're not. It's that movie, man.
But take my advice.
And I love, just throw out there, I love Anne Hathaway. Devil Wears Prada is probably in my top of all times. I'm sure it's probably in the top 100 or something.
Wow.
Yeah, I love Devil Wears Prada.
This is a good movie that I wish more people saw from Neon, but I'm sure if you do watch it, I think you'll be rewarded. #4.
You know what else? Real quick, I say this your Colossal is also when you said the Wilder people.
Hunt for the Wilder People.
What was
my
that?
#2 last year.
Yeah, #2 last year. Just like, what the are you talking about? But hey,
like the mountain between us right now.
Yeah, exactly. #4, we've already mentioned this, The Last Jedi.
Yes.
It was my 4th favorite film of the year. What a great...
That's 2.
Yeah, what a great... What was the first one?
Oh, never mind.
It's our first.
Yeah, it's our first one.
But it's okay, but...
I'm getting
I'm
excited.
assuming Big Stick, but I'm assuming that, but we'll see. But Last Jedi, though, honestly, though, God, powerful, man. I'm like just sitting there, just like, and then I know it was really good when I saw it for the second time. The first time I got to watch it, Dolby Cinema, you know, 60 some odd speakers, loved it.
See, I need to see it that way too.
But the second time, oh, I've seen it 3 times. The second time was with y'all.
Yes.
Full theater, fun.
Bunch of audiences.
The third time I saw it back at Dolby again, and with my girlfriend, Ashley. And man, this movie. The only thing I could say if I could change, which I won't. The only thing is the scene. Only thing I would change about it, because I'm not here to be that guy.
Everybody's a critic.
Yeah. The only thing I would change for me was switch out Laura Dern with someone else. We're good to go. That's all I would change. I felt that. And then
just actress. You're not talking about character.
Yeah. And that specific scene where Rian Johnson makes it completely silent.
Oh.
You're in the theater and you're just like, it's like amazing.
Yeah. And I heard some people thought that wasn't supposed to be
AMC had to make put signs.
Sign up, yeah.
AMC theaters put signs up now that says there's a part in this movie that when it goes silent, it's supposed to be.
I don't know how you didn't know. Like, it's so like. It feels so right too. I don't know.
You're in space. Hello, blew up. Like, anyway, yeah, man, The Last Jedi, brah.
All of the emotions.
Oh no, that was oh wait, that's our first one. Okay, so
we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, Last Jedi, man. I can't wait for episode 9. I'm excited for Solo. I think last week Lucasfilm, or Disney, I should say, they bought Lucasfilm for $4 billion.
Yes.
And then last week they will officially surpass that in 3 movies.
That's pretty impressive. And there'll be much more.
You think that was a good investment? Jeez, talk about amazing. That's more powerful than Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right? Like seriously, that's crazy.
What they've done with it, it's hard not to be happy with.
Yeah, I love it. So that's my #4, dog.
#4, my #4, and which is our #2, and you just said it, The Big Sick.
Yeah.
A movie that I went to CinemaCon.
Did you watch it at CinemaCon?
No.
Okay.
But I discovered it at CinemaCon because one of the people we interviewed was Kumail Nanjiani and his wife Emily V. Gordon. And I'm sitting there, and Emily V. Gordon and Kumail Nanjiani are up on the stage talking about how this movie is their life story. I haven't seen a trailer of this movie. I don't know what people are talking about. And lo and behold, The Big Sick comes out. I get to see this movie, and with every inch of my being, I love that movie. I mean, every movie on my top 10 this year were movies that I gave 4 stars to. And but I think this is one of those movies where, like we said about Greatest Showman, and like you said about La La Land, is a movie that I will continue to watch over and over again. I think out of everything I've seen this year, this is the movie I've watched the most, even more than Lego Batman. I've watched this movie 3 times in theaters. I've seen it 2 times at home viewings, and 2.5 home viewings with other people, and I've just had it on in background multiple times. This movie may be one of my favorite love stories I've seen in a long time. I think it is so fresh and so different, and while it is like that, you know, your love story, and I don't want to really, I mean, I won't really get too much into it, but it's a really great effort when you can make a love story when one of the characters really isn't around for the majority of the movie. But when they are on screen, they share a beautiful chemistry. Kumail Nanjiani is just so brilliant in this movie, playing himself in an earlier life, because...
And that's another cool thing too. He's playing himself.
And he did all these things, you know, and I mean, it's really, you know, just really fun to see something like that. And it is one of those instances where you see this movie and you're like, wow, that's so awesome. And then to find out that it's a true story. And the woman that wrote this movie is Kumail Nanjiani's wife, who this story is also about. And it's just like, wow. Ray Romano and Holly Hunter are both phenomenal in this movie. Holly Hunter obviously is so good. There were talks about her getting a supporting actress nom. I don't think she'll get it, and I don't know if this movie will get much love, but it definitely deserves it. I don't know what it's killing me. I don't know what that is.
It got the chasing love though.
Yeah, it got my love, and I know it did some achievement as far as the it made the biggest profit and the highest rating on Rotten Tomatoes, something like that, because it was made for very low money, but the movie did phenomenal. People are talking about it all over. It's doing phenomenal sales at home, and just one that really stole my heart. Beautiful love story. It's funny, it's heartfelt, it's warm, and it's just everything that you want out of kind of a comedy. And even though there's so much more drama, like you said, it talks about culture, it talks about all these different things. And obviously Kumail Nanjiani being a Pakistani man and always kind of implementing that into his comedy, he really implements that into his, in what he was like, what it was like growing up and being who he is in this movie. So it's really autobiographical, not only in the sense of their relationship, but who he is as a person and a comedian. And it's hard not to love him for that. I mean, just a great time. A movie that I'm sure will keep with me and will be a movie that I revisit multiple times. Me and my girlfriend both love this movie, and I'm so glad I got to see it and got a chance to meet them. I'll throw that interview up there as well, in that wide eye. Now we're here to the big boys.
So real quick, so you know I watch movies. We watch movies every Thursday. Me, myself, yourself, Mr. Kent Wong, and our entire crew. We watch movies every Thursday, midnight screenings, AMC Town Square, by the way. And then usually on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, or sometimes Sunday night, I'll go again by myself.
See the outline.
I'll see the one that also came out, but it wasn't more powerful than what I had to see Thursday night. And so my girlfriend gauges what movies she watches based on what I say. You know, she's like, oh, so how's this movie? I was just like, nah, you know. And then how's this? Nah. And then how's this? Oh, it was amazing. And then Big Sick was that. So then she came with me into that one. So usually all my top 10s I force her to go, just because I was so blown away and impressed by the movie that I need her to see this so we can enjoy it together. And she loved it too. Yeah, she loved Big Sick.
It was amazing. And our number two, so far we've had 2.
Which ones?
Star Wars?
Star Wars: The Last Jedi and Big Sick. And Big Sick and ours was just one away.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just one flippy.
I'm glad to see it on there.
It's coming there. I'm glad you're conforming finally. Understand.
I'm glad I recommended a movie to you and you actually liked it.
Unlike when you told me and Ken to watch
Hunt for the Wilder People, which is a phenomenal film.
Because me and Kit were by ourselves. It was just us two, right? Yeah, it was just me and him were both like, oh my gosh. Move forward very quickly. Number 3. This is the top 3. These are the ones that really just
change the game.
Yeah, just like, oh, Christ's sake. And my number 3, I don't think it's even gonna be on your top 10. I'm pretty sure it's just for me, Logan. Logan, man. Number 1, Hugh Jackman. He played this last month, he played The Greatest Showman. He may be The Greatest Showman, like in real life.
Yeah, because doing those 2 roles in the same year, I mean, alone is a challenge.
If you see him in freaking the first X-Men, he's puny, and he's still big.
Yeah.
And then you see every time...
Back in what, 2000?
Yeah, that sounds about right, yes, because I was right out of high school. Something like that, yeah. He just took this character better. and better and better and better. And if this is the final time we see Logan, which it probably is, it seems like, even if and when Disney does take the rights over for Fox, it doesn't look like that'll ever happen. If this was the final one, which it probably is, my God, bro.
What an ending.
Amazing. Hugh Jackman just did Wolverine right. I feel so bad for the next person who is going to be recasted one day to play Wolverine. I feel so bad, dog, because that person is gonna be just hammered, because what he did for this character was so good. And then this specific one, though, this movie was so good that it must be good. Like, how many times did I play that trailer?
A lot.
Oh my gosh, dude. Like,
yeah, we actually had this ongoing joke this year where she would always send me a video of himself watching this trailer, and I have a lot of text to prove it.
It's the trailer was so good. The Johnny Cash? Yeah, the Johnny Cash song was so good with it. But the movie itself was amazing.
It's so funny too, sorry to go back, because like the last couple of weeks, I've been singing Johnny Cash's Hurt song from that trailer, and I'm like, where did that come from? Why is that in my head? And it's because of all the time you watching the trailer, yeah.
That really is amazing. That's like, that's
insane.
a training itself, but that's amazing. But and then the part that just puts this movie, because Hugh Jackman already.
Yep.
That's it. But the reason why this has to be in my top 3, is because god dang it, Patrick Stewart.
Oh, okay.
You need to give that guy. I would love to see it Best Supporting.
I think that was like the first Oscar buzz of the year. Was that
Oscar nomination? One, Patrick Stewart, I love him. I literally love him. Literally. 2, Jean-Luc Picard. I literally love that character. But man, when I heard that he was being cast as Professor X, the other man, this is back in the day when I was just like, of course he's bald, of course he looks like. That's all I was like, of course
he looks like him.
Yeah, of course he really is the most amazing Professor X. And I'm personally not a fan of James McAvoy's version of Charles Xavier. That's not on James McAvoy. He's great. Split. He's great, but
honorable mention.
By the way, and man, that movie is so good, and the movies just keep on putting it down. Anyway, but yeah, man, Patrick Stewart is so freaking amazing in this movie, and in the way he was going through his own post-traumatic stress, and he couldn't remember, and then he was this old guy, and then Logan was the last caretaker of freaking Charles Xavier, holding him like this, and then that last scene about halfway in the movie when Charles Xavier got to go, I was just like I was just like dying, bro, because you have to know, like, Patrick Stewart and Jean-Luc Picard means so much to me, and then Charles Xavier, if this was both these two's last hurrah as these two characters.
But what about Daphne Kane, though?
She was amazing.
Amazing. I think she was my favorite part about the movie. Totally don't agree.
She was amazing.
I don't disagree with anything she said. I love me. I mean, I was so impressed by her performance.
She was so amazing, and she's so young, and the emotion that she gave us as X-23.
Yes.
And then there was rumors that they were going to give us an X-23, but now with the acquisition, it's probably not going to happen. So that's amazing how that can happen, but that's another story for another time. But overall, man, Logan. If that was our last one, which 99.999, I'm sure it is.
Perfect enough. Arguably, not on my list, but one of my favorite X-Men movies. Top 3 of all the X-Men films.
The only thing better for me than Logan would still be Days of Future Past. That movie, gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
First Class, Days of Future Past, Logan.
First Class. What are you talking about? Here you go again, go nuts.
My number 3. We're getting down to the big boys. We're getting down to the serious stuff. My number 3. I would argue, is a part of the greatest, maybe that would be, greatest might be a little bit strong, but one of the, if not the best trilogies of my generation. And that's War for the Planet of the Apes.
Wow.
This movie meant so much to me. I love the original Planet of the Apes, Charlton Heston, and when I heard they were bringing it back with James Franco, no less, you know, I had a lot of questions, and I enjoyed that movie. And then we had Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and that movie was even better. It was more intense. And Andy Serkis is revolutionizing himself as the CGI ape named Caesar. And then we get this movie, which is the best movie of the trilogy, no doubt. And the conclusion of one of the greatest character arcs I think we'll see since 2000, and that's of Caesar, this ape who started as this pet, this young, weak, feeble animal that walked on a leash, now becomes one of the greatest warriors and one of the strongest elements in the world. You know, because the world is become this desolate place by the hands of this one ape. Obviously many, but him at the lead. Visual effects.
Amazing.
Score.
Amazing. The
use of silence in this movie is so strong. The new character voiced by, man, I'm gonna forget his name. I'll think of it. But Bad Ape, you know, this new Steven Kazan. I know I'm messing one part of that name up. Anyway, he plays this new character named Bad Ape, who is funny and fresh and gets everyone laughing because there's so much seriousness going on. Woody Harrelson. Wow.
Woody Harrelson.
So strong in this movie. And just the complexity of themes that this movie's talking about, the idea of war. And, you know, Woody Harrelson plays not a very nice person, but but when you're thinking about this in terms of war and what he's trying to do for humanity,
living,
it's hard not to see both sides. And my favorite scene in, you know, one of the things we used to talk about was the best moments in film, and this was easily up there in the top 3 best moments, I think. That scene between Woody Harrelson and Caesar, when they're talking about what their purpose is and what's at stake in this war, is so powerful. And the energy is so high while being so tame in terms of surface. I mean, it is like fireworks. Fireworks that's, you know, put on low. There's just so much amazing things happening. Visual effects, I mean, the movie is so stunning. And I don't know if they're real apes or fake apes anymore. I mean, it's that close. The texture on every single one of the apes is so apparent. It's mind-blowing. And just as a character, seeing Caesar from where he is and where he is in this film is so powerful. I love this movie. I love this trilogy. I don't know where the movie goes from here, or where this franchise goes from here, but I would be shocked if they could up their game any more than what they did with this film.
You know, when I first heard that they were remaking it, I was actually excited about it because I was like, oh, the Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah,
I was like, so yeah, we're gonna be in there, and then no, it's a new thing. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then so the first one came out, James Franco. I loved it. I freaking loved it. Part 2. Even better, but for me, part 3, it wasn't as good for me.
Wow, really?
For me, it wasn't as good, and I felt that way too after I noticed. I didn't even want to watch it again.
Wow.
You know, but everything you said, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, the movie, it really was such a good, powerful movie. I think what happened for me was there was no war.
Yeah, that's right. He was a Christian.
Yeah, I mean, it's called War for the Planet of the Apes, so I thought there was gonna be this huge like Troy. Gladiator type of thing, humans versus apes that they bring in, and we didn't get that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, on the Hollywood side, this movie did not do well financially. So I think we're done. I'm sure they'll reboot it again and do it again and make these things.
Well, I think, but to me, like, I'm bummed that it didn't do as well as it should have, because I think this was the strongest of the 3. But I think it's the perfect place to end the movie.
Yeah.
As far as it not being war, I mean, I think the majority of the movie is very quiet.
Yeah.
Very slow. But we do have a really great action sequence at the end of the movie. But I think it is not so much about the physical battle of the war, but just this war of understanding each other. And like this idea of these two sides are fighting for something they believe in, and something we both can get behind, because obviously we understand humanity, we want humanity to survive, but obviously in this movie we're very biased to the apes because we've seen what humans do to the apes, and we've been defending with the apes. Yeah.
No, we're sick.
Yeah, we know that. But even though Woody Harrelson's like a sick person, we're like, we get what he's saying. You know, like, we don't want to die, we don't want to be erased from the world either. We're gonna fight for survival, and I think that is just one of the many genius themes explored in this movie. So yeah, my number 3, War of the Planet of the Apes, a movie that I truly, truly love, and I can't wait to revisit.
All right, so now let's get into the top 2, bro. The top 2 best.
I'm scared because I have no idea where you're going.
I've seen over, I counted it, I saw 115 films. Sorry. I saw 115
I wish
films.
I would have counted. I haven't gotten my Letterboxd Final Rush email yet, so I don't know.
And my number 2, you've already mentioned it on your top something.
Oh, okay.
The Greatest Showman.
Number 3!
that movie, man, it got me freaking hyped. We're buying it as soon as it comes out.
Yes.
I can't stop playing the soundtrack.
Yep.
I'll be doing alternate nights. It'll be La La Land, then the next day I'll be watching Greatest Showman. Then I'll watch La La Land, then I'll watch Greatest Showman. And who would have known, man? I've always been a fan of musicals.
Yes, me too.
I come from the music background. Played drums for 8 years. Concert band.
I was about to be like, what? And then I was like, oh, you can play the drums.
Yeah. Concert band for 8 years. Jazz band for 5.
That's right, you got the music in
So I've done all that.
Yeah.
And so I've always been a fan of musicals, just because if you're into concert band, I mean, if you're in concert band, you...
And see, I'm always someone who wanted to play music, so I love it because I want to be able to do it.
Yeah, no. There's something about these two particular guys that are writing these songs. Forgive me, I forgot their names. Or I don't know their names, but man, they're good. They know how to write songs. They know how to write music. And it's not that they just know how to write music. They know how to make it so it's music that people like.
Catchy.
Yes, catchy.
Addictive.
So
you want to keep listening to it.
Heads off to them. And then they're doing a Netflix thing now.
Oh, really?
It's a musical series.
Oh.
So I'm pumped on that.
Yeah.
Same writers of those two.
Yeah.
But Greatest Showman, man. Zendaya, loved her. Zac Efron, just like Idris Elba, just a good-looking dude. Just loved him.
Dude, you want to be?
Loved him. Can't say nothing. Baywatch, not good. This one, very, very good.
Yes.
Hugh Jackman. Come on, the guy has my number 3 and 4, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what the?
Pretty powerful.
Jesus. I mean, because think about it, but I saw like 100 plus movies.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like 500, depending on what you want to call it, release. There's like 1,000 movies that come out every year.
Yes.
This guy has 2 of them in my top 10, in top 4, no less. So, yeah, Hugh Jackman, man, wow. Passion project for his for 7 years. He wanted to do this. If you just YouTube it, you can watch endless, over and over and over interviews of him talking about it. But it's something he always wanted to do. They didn't think he would do it. He had the nose cancer. He got surgery, got rid of the cancer, and then on that same day is when Fox or whoever the distributor said, hey, come in because we're going to give you a chance to show us about the movie. They had 80 executives in the room. They're all pitching it and they're all singing. Doctor said, do not sing. And then he didn't sing the whole time on the very last one, which is the Greatest Showman song.
Yeah.
He sings it and then I guess like he's like, ah, or however, and then breaks the stitch and blood's coming out of his nose.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I knew it was a passion project.
What a showman, dude.
Absolutely.
What a freaking showman. But yeah, on a serious note, The Greatest Showman, wow, I loved it. I can't wait to watch it again. I'm gonna guarantee I have to at least see it at least one more time in the theater, but I wouldn't be surprised if I'm gonna watch it again because I just want to see certain songs. Yeah. Never Again, Never Enough. Gosh, man.
So powerful.
So powerful.
Goosebumps.
And if you're an entrepreneur, honestly, you need to watch The Greatest Showman because, you'll hear me say this so many times. There's the love aspect, and then if there's movies that have like lessons,
yes,
learning, personal development, and then there's the entrepreneur side about it, where I'm just like watching this guy struggle, and then that song Never Enough.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. And then I'll end it with the other side for me, man. I cannot stop playing that song. It's so good. And
I don't pick up peanut shells.
So good.
So good.
You already talked about it.
Yeah, I did already talk about it, but you made me want to say something and now I can't remember what it was. For those of you like me who recorded A Christmas Story live and haven't watched it yet, wasn't very good. I wasn't a fan of it. But in the middle, I would say about an hour in, it cuts to commercial and you think it's going to go to a real commercial, but it actually went to another side of the studio where Zac Efron, Zendaya, and Hugh Jackman do Come Alive, one of the songs, live on set at Fox, I believe, and they did like a great live performance. I'm sure you could YouTube it. It was really, really good.
I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very good.
Now my number 2.
Dun dun dun.
My number 2, like last year, probably, I mean, there's a little inch, but I mean, right neck and neck with my number 1. My number 2, something very different than The Greatest Showman, A Ghost Story, a movie in which most of which is completely silent.
I'm upset.
Rooney Mara and Casey Affleck in this movie that completely took me by storm. It is a movie that I've continued to talk about nonstop. It was a movie that moved me on a profound level. I compared it in our review to Tree of Life, a movie that wants to talk about everything in this universe, but also talk about a relationship. This movie does it on a far better level. I was not a fan of Tree of Life, and while this movie is not linear, or very typical plot A, B, C, and D. This movie is still easy to digest, but it is a movie that it's what you make it. This is a movie that asks a lot of questions, and if you really let yourself think about it, it gives you way more of a reward. It's a challenging movie, but not in one where you're like, God, it's hard to understand, or it's tough for me to get in. It's a movie that you could totally get, but the more you see it, the more you look into the message you're trying to spread, you could really get rewarded. I mean, it is a beautiful piece of art.
I'm so upset.
And just so beautiful, so touching. It's a movie that tackles one of the hardest and most challenging things that all of us face every single day, and that's time. This movie, pretty much goes over the course of the universe. But also there's a 3 to 5 minute scene of Rooney Mara eating a pie. And I know we talk about it, and I know when I tell people that, I say it because it's funny. I watched her eat a pie
for a freaking hour.
Oh, and it's so good. But you feel like you're sitting there forever.
I love Rooney Mara.
Everyone's like, well, why do you bring that up? And I'm like, well, because it's so interesting, because this movie does try to go over the expandment of a universe, like this huge timeline. But then there's also such a huge chunk of it where she's eating a pie. Like, it shows you how time is so manipulated and how time works, and it's so powerful. And it talks about, things like, what are we doing here? Is it important? Why are we here? Is it all meaningful? Is it meaningless? It is so full of really intense things that you could think about. Every year I say it, and this is the movie I would say it about it. It is one you could hang on your wall and leave it up there like a painting. It is so beautiful and so touching. Neck and neck with my number one. A movie that really stuck with me and really just connected with me and hit me on all four. If you haven't seen it and you want to watch it, I said it in our review, I'll say it again now. Do it when you're alone, because a disruptive audience would be the worst kind of thing for this movie, because most of this movie has absolutely no dialogue in it as we're following this ghost around, just exploring and seeing what's going around. There is dialogue, of course, but not much. It's a movie that is meant to be quiet and meant to communicate so much. Me being such a silent film fan, I'm sure that's another reason why I love it so much, because it does take some silent film work and just communications, one of which is basically a pillow, or not a pillow, a bed sheet, a ghost. The one that we talk about during Halloween with the holes cut out, and this movie takes it to a whole new level and really gets your mind thinking, and it completely, profoundly moved me on a level that I don't know if a movie
has done that,
yeah, like that.
Do you think, knowing that I literally love Rooney Mara and I'm a fan of Casey Affleck, do you believe that this would have been in my top 10 if I would have had the opportunity to see it?
I honestly don't know, because though you love them, they're obviously obviously their roles aren't as big as you'd expect. I've told you that before.
Yes, you have.
And I don't know if all the other factors, like the no talking and all the other stuff that the movie gets into later on, how that'll affect you. So I'm really interested to seeing how you react to this movie. I hope you see it soon. But for me, it without saying much, the movie talked to me louder than most movies did all year.
Damn. Damn.
Got you jacked.
I gotta see it. Alright, so let's recap 10 through 9.
Yes, let's do it.
10 through 2. 10 through 2.
Before we reveal our number one.
Alright, so number 10, I, Tonya Margot-Robbie.
Number 10, Lady Bird.
Number 9, out of nowhere, Jumanji.
Number 9, 3 Billboards out of Ebbing, Missouri.
Number 8, Girls Trip.
Number 8, Lego Batman Movie.
Number 7, The Mountain Between Us.
Number 7, The Greatest Showman.
Number 6, Before I Fall.
Number 6, Star Wars, The Last Jedi.
Number 5, The Big Sick.
Number 5, Colossal.
Number 4, The Last Jedi.
Number 4, The Big Sick.
Number 3, Logan.
Number 3, War for the Planet of the Apes.
Number 2, Hugh Jackman's The Greatest Showman.
Number 2, A Ghost Story. And now, number 1. I have no idea what she's gonna hit me with. Let's see if we can get the number above 4 or a number above 3. We have it similar. I doubt it.
I know it won't
curious.
be.
Okay.
I know it won't be. And it's a movie I don't think anyone expects me to say. Kingsman: The Golden Circle is my number 1 favorite movie of the year.
What the hell?
It was not. It was not.
I knew that was a lie.
Patty Jenkins, Wonder Woman.
Wow.
Yes. So I watched it the first time, loved it. Watched it again, loved it. Watched it 3 times in the theater, loved it. Watched it 4 times in the theater, I realized, and I loved it. And then Mr. Wong got it for me, and hasn't stopped playing. There's the first 20-30 minutes of the movie, very slow, not much going on, But that first battle scene, when we get to the No Man's Land, thank you, sir. That whole scene is what, 20 minutes, give or take, maybe?
Yes.
And then it goes into the next scene that killed it for me. And the reason why I think it's my number one is when they slow dance together. You know me with love stories, dog. That scene, bro, was just like. I think Gal.
I'm so shocked.
I think Gal literally is.
Not because it's bad.
You know what? Let me also say this too. And I know you'll say you shouldn't do that, James, but I do.
Okay.
I follow her on Instagram, and she goes to all the Comic-Con conventions. The way she embraces Wonder Woman, hugging the little kids, all the little girls, she hugs them, the little boys. Seeing her do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Someone said, well, she gets paid to do that. Yes, she does. But all the other ones don't. Majority of them don't do that. You don't see. I love Ben Affleck. He doesn't do that.
Well, Ben Affleck.
Robert Downey Jr. He does not do that.
Yeah.
And then I know that a popular thing would be like, well, because they make way more money, they don't need to do that. And that might be the case if she was making more. She may not do it either. I'm not discounting that. All I'm saying though is she fully embraces this character. I
will say, I don't mean to cut you off mid-idea, but I will say, I think what sums up what you're trying to say, is she really values what her character means to kids right now, especially young little girls, and she's fully embracing it.
It would appear that way. I bought into it. Could be fake. I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah,
all I'm saying is and especially if it is fake, even better. That's how good of an actress she has become. Because like I just so enjoyed Wonder Woman. That one movie was so no pun intended, wonderful. Yes. It was so wonderful to me. Yeah, the CG. Oh my gosh, the bad guy.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
Ares.
Yeah, horrible CG. Ares itself, stupid. But man, every time Gal though is on film, every time she's on it, man, I'm just like dazzled by her. I freaking love how she played this particular character. Justice League, I never would have thought, never in a million years would have thought it wouldn't be in my top 10. At least squeeze in number 10. At least,
yeah.
At least squeeze. Like,
this is the second time she's done that to you.
You know, and so I'm not playing like, oh, just because I love DC.
Yeah.
It's not there because it's not there. I'm just.
You did love this movie, and maybe just because you haven't brought it up, maybe because you didn't want me to know it was gonna be your number one. I mean, I also was a huge fan of this movie. Definitely up there. Didn't make my top 10, but definitely when I was voting for the Las Vegas Film Critics Society, it definitely got its name in there a few times. But yeah, I'm just shocked that it was your number one.
It was so good, man. Yeah, so I loved. All the Amazon ladies,
yes.
and Themyscira, loved all that entire aspect, the way they did that. That was cool. Then they comes out No Man's Land. Chris Pine, I thought he was a great Steve Trevor. And then they had the love story. You're already gonna win me over, Gal. You're already gonna win me over.
Yeah.
And then the epic suicide, taking his life, and then that won me over. And then when we hear what he's saying, you know, she can't hear it though because of the sound blast or whatever. I was just like.
This is a movie that I didn't see as many times as I would have liked, and I would like to revisit it. It was not one I got to revisit before the end of the year, before making my list, but I mean, I did enjoy it. I rated it very highly, and I would like to revisit it though.
Even the ice cream scene, I loved it. You should be so proud of yourself. I just think that because her English isn't perfect English, I think it just fits even better for me that it's not perfect English, and she's not, I don't know, man. Gal, man. Number one film of the year, 2017, Wonder Woman, absolutely loved it.
Well, you're not alone. That's one that a lot of people are going to agree with on. A lot of people loved and have definitely championed this year, and I'm proud of that. My number one, in a completely different sense.
Can we say it? Let's say the title on 3. I think I know.
Okay. Wait. My number one in 2015. 1, 2, 3. Get Out. Yes. Jordan Peele's Get Out. A movie that I saw earlier in this year and has not left my mind. And this is a movie that I have watched numerous times since. And every time I watch it, I am pulling new metaphors, new ideas and symbolism from it. I found it to be so profound and so moving. Again, it is a horror movie that has elements of comedy and drama while also tackling these huge ideas. I mean, this is a satire like satire has not been done in a long time. Jordan Peele, breakout filmmaker of the year. I mean, I'm so impressed from watching Keanu and watching Key and Peele and then watching this movie. I mean, it feels like he's matured as an artist tenfold, and I'm excited to see anything he brings to the table in the future. But I think this might, we were talking about earlier, I think this might be the case where I don't know if he'll be able to top this movie. Being his first directorial debut and doing such a challenging topic. In a stage in, you know, like when I started trying to become a critic, you know, there are like 3 questions that you should ask yourself, and you know, well, at least this is what they tell you you should be asking yourself. You know, what's the movie saying about the time that the movie takes place in, which is modern, as well as what is the movie saying about today in real life. And I think in the political climate and just the climate in general of how polarized people are and how on odds people are, people were able to sit in this movie, watch it, laugh, be afraid, be creeped out, but also extract such meaning. This movie is about race, and obviously it has been such a major thing that we talk about and revolve around. I mean, there could not be a more complicated topic to talk about, and Jordan Peele did it in a way that is both entertaining but incredibly informative. I think it gives people a new perspective on race. And when, I mean, there are people who say, you know, what is, you know, they'll say, you know, the common phrase, you know, what else can you say about it? Jordan Peele, a comedian from Comedy Central. You know, I'm not saying that he's, no, he doesn't have, I mean, obviously this artist emerged and said something new, and said something different, and said something that made people scratch their heads and get a different perspective. You know, people say, you know, again, what can film do differently? What can they bring to the screen that's new? And I think Jordan Peele did that while playing with 60s and 70s horror movie tropes, and you know, bringing out the comedy side, having one of the I think, like you said, for Girls Trip, and having one of the best audience experiences. I will never forget the moment at the end of Get Out when something is revealed and my audience, the pop that my audience gave was so big. And you know, I don't want to, I mean, I'm going to talk about the ending because I think the ending is so profound. Jordan Peele did an interview recently, and he was talking about how the original ending was meant to be, you know, spoiler I guess, a cop shows up and you're like, oh man, a cop just saw him choke this white woman, and it ends up, thankfully, ends up being his friend, but originally it wasn't supposed to be the idea. But the fact that your mind goes there, the fact that just what you're expecting makes you think, why do I immediately know where this movie was trying to go?
Because you think he's screwed at that.
You think he's screwed, you know, you think of the, you know, like the, you know, you think of all these ideas that we get in media and that we see, and we assume we know his fate, and it's not that case. And people complain that it wasn't that because they felt that it would make it a more powerful message. It's the fact that that's where your mind went first. And you know, we talked about with Star Wars, you can't criticize the movie for not being something that you don't want it to be. This movie took something that you were expecting and also made it a point. And something it didn't put in the movie made a point, and that to me is so powerful. From things in giant artist, like I think masterful things like that, to little scenes. When I was watching it with some friends, and you know, I was asking them questions like, you know, what do you think was happening when she's eating, you know, there's a scene in which the girl in the movie is eating Fruit Loops.
Allison Williams?
Yeah, Allison Williams is eating Fruit Loops out of a glass, or no, out of a bowl without milk, and then drinking milk on the side. And I was like, what do you think about that? Like, he goes, I think it's just to tell them how weird they are. And I'm like, yeah, it's because they don't want to mix color. Like, why eat milk? Like, there is so much subtlety in everything that he's doing. And I mean, just so profoundly smart. The character is in a dangerous situation, and what is the one thing that saves him from an irreversible fate? It's picking cotton out of a chair. The one thing that has damned, you know, his people and his ancestors, and has become something that has become like, you know, something that they, you know, resent, saves his life. Those things are not on accident, and I think there's so many instances of that in this movie that I was just so. And to have all these emotions, to have a movie about such an incredibly difficult topic, to address intense themes, and then be able to laugh, and then be able to jump because of creepy things happening, is something that, I mean, I don't think any ordinary major budget movie could have done. And I'm so glad this movie's done so well, and I'm glad that people are seeing it. And while I don't know if it'll get love at the Oscars, and obviously now having trouble with Golden Globes labeling it a comedy element's not a comedy, but I hope this movie gets its day because it really deserves it. Easily, I mean, from I think it was February or maybe March I saw this movie, and it is it has not left my #1 spot, and I absolutely love that movie, and I could talk about it for days.
It was so good, dude. On that reveal, though, seriously, though, I remember when I was in the theater. Did I watch it with you?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
No,
but
well, actually, my review I did by myself, and I thought that was weird. So I don't know what happened.
We filmed it?
I filmed
it
in my
yourself?
house. Yeah,
oh, okay. I wonder what. Okay, but yeah. So when I saw that reveal, I was just like, oh my gosh, dude! I was hoping the whole time you were on the side, the good side, and you are the worst. You're the catalyst. You were the worst one out of everybody here.
Oh man, I mean, there's just so many things where, you know, they always say movies are, you know, nothing, you know, I've always argued with this people, because some people say, oh, you're looking too deep into things, things are done by accident. No, no, no. If I gave you $500,000 to make the car of your dreams, nothing's going to be by accident. And I firmly believe that. You know, even there's this one fighting sequence where the characters are talking about being able to be 3 steps ahead of each other. And then later in the movie, they're fighting. He kicks the door, you know, gets fumbled, kicks the door again, and on the 3rd kick, stabs him in the leg. Like that it's like a constant throwback. There's so many moments of just like, this movie knows what it's doing, it knows where it wants to go, and there's not a thing that's left out. So much symbolism, so much ideology here, and so much to say. Wow, I absolutely love that movie, and I am so excited to hopefully tell someone who's not seen it yet, or to remind you to watch it again, because I think it's worth it.
You know what's so good too, Jordan Peele? Because he comes from comedy.
Yes.
That, as an example of what you just said, I mean, I don't know if he's like this, but I know I'm like this. And knowing that you just said that, knowing when I see that next time I watch this movie, I'm gonna be like, hey. Like to me, that's gonna be funny, you know, and that's the humor behind it. You know, it's just not like a ha 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 ha. You know, it's just like a
and there's so many theories about this movie, and there was I believe the Hollywood Reporter did a video about it where he's entertaining a lot of these theories, and some of them, I mean, like, are just so great, but it's a movie that people are talking about, discussing, and wanting to have theories like it was Star Wars, because there's so much to like just take away, and a movie to have all of this in it, have elements of comedy and horror, 2 of the what people would say would be the hardest genres to really do. Directorial debut, like, I mean, it just keeps going and going and going. I love this movie, and I am so grateful to get something like this year, something fresh and new. And for anyone that says that movies are old and played out and there's nothing new at the theater, I think a lot of the movies. What are they even talking about? I think a lot of the movies on our list, let alone the 15 that didn't make it on, Thor Ragnarok, I, Tonya, all these movies that didn't make our lists.
Even Molly's Game was like kind of up there, kind of like top 15.
Molly's Game wasn't so much on mine, but Thor Ragnarok was on my number 10 for a minute.
Yeah, Thor Ragnarok was there. Get Out was my number 11.
Yeah, so there's plenty of great things to see, and I think it was easily a major successful year for the movies. And I couldn't have done it with the better guy, Mr. James Shue, Mr. Kent Wong behind the camera. I am excited for 2018.
I love it.
I'm ready for another year, and I hope we get something as good as these movies that we've been talking about.
And we always do.
Yeah.
And they always just coming out of nowhere too, bro.
It's always the ones you're least expecting.
Remember the ending when we watched Split, the very last 30 seconds of Split?
Yeah. I will say that was one of the biggest surprises of the year.
It was like, what the?
And that was on the list too for a minute. You know, for a long time, actually.
That's the problem with coming out in February, though. So much more to go.
But a lot of my films came out then early, so it's pretty crazy.
All right, guys, so that is our top 10 of 2017.
Yes.
But that's just our opinions. We'd love to hear what you guys, what is your top 10?
List?
And I'm ready for all the, you're an idiot. I already know it. And
Star Wars,
and I'm just different, you know, I'm just different. No, I was talking about the mountain between us and Before I Fall.
No, yeah.
But yeah.
I'm sure you're going to get more hate for the Star Wars thing.
But yeah, so if you've never been to one of our premieres, it's freaking time. Last year in 2017, we did 50 premiere screenings. There's only 2 weeks
where we didn't.
That we did not. Just last week was one of them.
Yes.
And then literally 2 weeks prior to that was the only other. There was only 2, so we did 50 screenings in 2017. So we're going to continue on 2018.
Yes.
Our goal
Chasing
is
Cinema is going to be reviewing movies, writing new articles. Make sure to tune in to that website if you want to read more of the movies that I just talked about, a little bit more in depth, not so much off the fly, but well thought out ideas and sentences. Make sure to go check out my top 10 list on ChasingCinema.com, where always there will be movie reviews and always good stuff. There's a lot of new things we're going to be trying in the next year, and I hope you're a part of it with us.
We're very excited about it.
Yes.
And if you want to check out anything I do, please go to Instagram at HSUMJames or my Facebook at The Official James Shu, ChasingCinema.com or at Jacob Toronto.
Yes.
All those links will be in the description box below.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to see
And thanks for sticking around for an hour and a half to watch this.
Is that nuts? But we just generally love movies.
We do. It's what we do. And we've been doing it for over 4 years, and we'll be doing it for hopefully many more to come.
Yes, and just do not forget, guys, ChasingCinema.com is known as
the Film Lovers website.